Welcome to the DNA Show.
DNA? Dude, are we doing a science show?
No, D is for Dennis.
Oh, A is for Andy.
And N is for and?
Oh, man, nerds.
Oh, yeah.
We're nerds, dude.
Yeah. Well, good. Then we can talk about comics and movies and pop culture and sports.
Sports. Sports and nerds. Yeah, we're going to make that work.
All right, let's roll.
Hi-ho, welcome back to the Dennis and Andy Show. This is, once again, Andy.
And this is Dennis. Welcome back.
Dennis, you know what I'd like to find? I would like to find that famous NFL music, you know, the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, but a sad version.
Why, Andy, would you need a sad version?
Well, because going into fantasy football this week, I was thinking, this is it. I'm going to win. I'm going to have a better record. I'm going to move up on our scale of 10. My projected points are at least 15 higher than my opponent. I'm going to do awesome. And lo and behold, I get up this morning, and I was actually on track even going into last night's games, and I wake up this morning, and I lost by 10 points or so. And I was, I think it was 81-77 I lost. So yeah, I barely lost. But I lost. And now I'm 7th place. So upset.
7th place.
So upset.
I feel so bad for you being in 7th place. Why? Because I maintain my 10th place position.
At 0-6.
I had a chance to win again. And again, this is like a broken record. Came down to Monday night. Had a chance. All I needed was Andy Dalton. All he had to do was score me some points, like 16 points, 20 points. I would have been happy.
I would have been happy too. Because he's the Cowboys quarterback now, and the Cowboys sucked it up 38-10 to the Cardinals. Like, going into last night's game, I thought it would be close. I was hoping for the Cowboys to squeak out a win. Like, I thought it was going to be close, like it was when they played the Giants. You know, like a field goal type win.
Yep.
I had no idea it would be 38-10. Zeke learned to hang onto the ball. He's not a rookie. That's what kills me. He has never fumbled this much.
4 fumbles in one game.
4 fumbles in what? The dude never has fumbled this much.
If I was Mike McCarthy, I would get that boy a 20-pound rock and make him carry it around like a football the entire week.
No doubt. It's ridiculous. So I'm just, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and of course he was busting my chops about it. And I just said, the NFC East, the whole NFC East doesn't deserve to go to the playoffs. None of those teams deserve to go. Even though there'll be a wild card and they'll be one and done. And it's, it's only 6 into 10 weeks, but let's be real.
I think this is the first time in history that the leading team in a division after week 6 has 2 wins.
It's got to be. That's got to be a record.
Yes.
It's got to be the first
I think that was one of the statistics on that, and I was like, it was awful to watch, almost as bad as the Packer game this week.
And next week for the NFC East, it's all in conference games. So the Eagles are playing the Giants. So one of them's going to finally have 2 wins,
or a tie,
but let's just say probably 2 wins. And then the Cowboys are playing the Redskins. So if they beat the Redskins, they'll still be in first place because they'll have 3 wins. However, if they lose to the Redskins, that'll put the Cowboys at 2-4, the Redskins at 2-4, and let's just say the Giants beat the Eagles and the Giants at 2-4.
Wow. Wow.
Or 2-5. Pop a 5 on all those at 7.
So if there's
that is ridiculous.
I'm kind of thinking there's a good high school team out there that they can play for next week.
Oh my God, it's so sad.
I know.
Speaking of sad.
I know. It was, well, I think you know it, as your daughter sit there and controlled herself the entire game. So it was a tale of 2 different time periods. The first 10 minutes, the Packers looked unstoppable.
They did.
And Courtney, to her credit, just sat there and took it, and she put her head down on her knees, and she just looked at her computer, but she didn't say anything.
No, she had a shit-eating grin, though. She had that Cheshire cat grin.
She did. The moment the pick 6 happened, and then everything turned around, the Packers literally packed up and went home. They did nothing after that. They looked awful. I mean, it was Rodgers didn't look good. The offensive line looked horrible. Bakhtiari went out. He's injured. And I'm like, well, now they're done. And they couldn't generate anything. It isn't that Tom Brady and the team looked great, but they played flawless football. Not a single penalty.
And so my friend I was talking to today is a big Bucs fan. He lives in Tampa.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this, but not yesterday's game or Sunday, my bad, game, not this week's, but the week before that. Apparently Tampa had a bunch of penalties, and during the week Brady had a pretty hardcore talking to the team about, we got to clean this up.
Yeah,
we cannot have penalties. And then boom, following week, none.
Perfect. I mean, it was a perfect performance, and I'm like, wow. Well, if we were going to lose to a team, Tampa Bay, it's not in our division, so I'm okay. They're in our conference, but not division. Wow. So, and Tom Brady, well, now they're split. Brady has the edge in head-to-head, 2-1 now over Rodgers.
It could be another one in the playoffs.
They could, but the Packers can't play like this. Nope. So it was a sad day all around. So my theory that I've had this entire time was that I would lose all my fantasy as long as the Packers won. Well, the Packers lost, which meant that should have translated to a win, but it did not. I lost to Scott 114 to 104 because all I needed was Dalton to throw another touchdown because he did crap. And
Zeke is my running back. I have Zeke on my fantasy team.
Oh yeah,
garbage. And what's even worse, which is like really rubbing salt into our wounds, is the fact that your wife, who had a perfect record, she lost finally in fantasy football, but she's still number one. She still has 5 wins.
That's because
nobody else has
she
5.
lost, Chad lost, my brother wanted to jump up, and then everybody who was in shouting range, like Andy, fell, and so yeah, nobody of importance that was up there gained on her because everybody lost.
I'm just keeping up with the Cowboys. They are 2-4, and I am 2-4 and 1.
2-3-1.
2-3-1.
Yeah.
2-3-1.
Yep. And I am 0-6. I know this has never happened in any league that I've ever been in. This year I'm only in the one because with everything going on, there wasn't a lot of. And Yahoo, I will say, they've got everything working pretty well. One of the salesmen I talked to this week, he's in 4 different leagues in different places. And between COVID and the buys changing and everything, he goes, a lot of these other places aren't handling it very well. So he goes, apparently Yahoo's doing pretty good, so we'll just give them props that, it sucks, but, it's not doing too bad.
Yeah, wow.
All right, so we can't talk any more football because it's a depressing football week.
So I'm going to cry.
So what we do need to talk about is, what did we pick up today?
What did the boys get from the comic shops? We know you guys are on pins and needles.
The boys' new comics.
And it was a abundant week for me, if I'm using that term right, because I got $5.
Whoa, that's a lot.
That's a lot for Andy. So I got Savage Dragon, of course. Got to get my Dragon, $253.
Good.
Got X-Men 13. So got to do that. Still on the X-Men train. I've got, collecting since issue 1 with this new series. So, haven't read it yet. So I know I'm going to be a little out of the loop because I stopped reading Swords of X. So I'll be a little out of the loop there because I know this one ties into it.
It does.
That's okay. I'll figure it out. I like the story and I like the artwork in it. Linnell Francis Hughes off the book. Mahmoud Asrar is on the book. I really enjoy his work. So I got that. And then the 3 other books were the True Believers that Marvel puts out reprints for $1. I love those. So I got True Believers Black Widow, the Avengers #1, which reprints Avengers 111. I got True Believers Black Widow Dark Star, which reprints The Champions #7. That's from 1975.
Oh.
Nice. And I've actually wanted to get this book, and now I don't have to spend lots of money on it. The first True Believers Black Widow Taskmaster #1, which reprints the first appearance of the Taskmaster from
Avengers
196.
Yep.
So, but I know that book's gone up in value, and it's one that I had as a kid, and I haven't had in probably 20 years. I wanted to get it again, but I didn't want to fork out, so now I don't have to. So,
Yeah.
I'm a happy camper.
Well, it was a somewhat light week for me. It was mostly a Marvel week.
I was just saying, it's got to be X stuff, because
it is.
X stuff come out.
It is. I also, like you, got the True Believers. So I got the 3 and it was good. Juggernaut 2 came out, I do got to get caught up. I didn't even read 1 yet, and I keep saying I'm going to, so we'll see if I got time. Iron Man came out, and that's looking pretty good. I've been getting Spider-Woman, and I like it, and it's actually Spider-Woman #5, but it's actually #100, so it's like her 100th
are you serious?
Yeah.
Are they doing that?
Yeah, so they put #100 right on the cover. Looking good. And then, we've got Excalibur 13 and X-Men 13. So, the X of Sword continues.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, looking forward, it looks like some good books this week. There were a couple that I was kind of on the fence about, and I kind of just decided to skip them this week. Because it was a good week, but all good. And then Marvel's X came out, which I almost picked up, but I didn't, and I still may.
Huh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. You'll have to let Spider-Woman being a 100. I like that stuff, but it's not a true 100.
I know.
Because I will go out of my way if something's like, if it's a main title and it is like a 12 or a 25 or a 50. I'll pick
it's
stuff
like
like
Batman
that
and Superman, where they at least went back and started numbering their comics.
Right. That's just it.
For a while before they went
right.
to it.
Right, and they're not doing that. They're just putting the 100 on the cover, and it's like, yeah, but it's actually #5.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think that whole gimmicky thing is kind of wore away. I would prefer that they just go back to numbers on it and just be done with it.
Yeah, so do I.
I'm one of those originalists.
I mean, they could have picked up. I don't know if this would work. This is what I was going to say is when they started Spider-Woman over with a #1. What if they started it? Well, no, that wouldn't work because so this is 100, which means that would have been 96. #1 would have been 96.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been kind of weird doing a.
But they've done it for other titles.
It as a #1, just
but then here's the question: was there 100 separate issues of her title, or does this include like the Marvel Spotlight, her first appearance, where they're including that one?
No, there's only 50 of her first book. Remember, didn't they only go to 50?
Right, but she's had other series.
Well, I know she has.
So my question is, does Marvel Spotlight count as one of those books in the 100? And it doesn't list that.
I bet it does.
I'm kind of thinking that's how they're doing it.
45 books that they got to make up for.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, to me, it's just a bit of a gimmick. But if it gets them to a few people to buy an extra book, maybe it's worth it.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. So we did break down, and we broke down and read the Transformers: The Terminator. That was an interesting miniseries. We had picked it up in last week. So Andy and I both made the commitment that we were going to read them all this week and take a look. And it was interesting. The story, they had a number of writers, which I kind of liked. It was David Mariette, Tom Waltz, and John Barber. Where it was the story written by David Mariette and John Barber. Art was Alex Milne, and then colors were David Garcia Cruz.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting concept. I think, let's put it like in Marvel DC terms, it was Elseworld, like What If.
Oh, yeah, totally. And, it's fun. So it starts off in, Terminator land 2029, the year 2029, which I couldn't remember if in the first Terminator movie, that's when the Terminator was sent back from in the first place was 2029. I don't remember.
Yes,
That
yeah, I
movie
think
was
that's when they originally sent him back
That's what I'm thinking,
from the
too,
original
because-
Arnold movie.
Right, that's what I'm thinking too, because that movie came out in 84. And
Right.
if you think about it, in 1984, somebody's talking 2029, you're just like, dude, that's so far in the future.
Right.
So,
And then we look at our upcoming 2029 and we're like, yeah, we don't have any of those really cool ships or lasers or nothing.
I know, I'm not walking around stepping on skulls.
But we got 9 years.
We got 9 years.
We got 9 years.
So you never know.
But it is what I enjoy when they do this and they're taking franchise license. So IDW and then, hooks up with Darkhorse and they bring this concept together. And I enjoyed the way it started. So like Andy said, 2029, Terminators running for his life.
Terminator's running for his life because of the Cybertronians.
Right.
That's a new word in the Transformer lexicon.
Cybertronians.
Cybertronians. That's a new word in their lexicon. I don't ever remember hearing that.
Well,
before.
they do in the Transformers, but obviously nothing in the Terminators.
Well, no, I knew that, but in the Transformers, there's Cybertronians.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. That's everybody who lived on Cybertron, which was the majority of them.
Okay.
Yep. So that's what they were called. So the first one's, titled Enemy of My Enemy. And the artwork was quite enjoyable. So anybody who's a fan of the Terminator, where you get to see all the different armored vehicles and stuff, I thought the artwork was pretty dead on. Trying to recreate the imagery that we remember from the movies and some realistically from a lot of the older Terminator comics and stuff that they had done.
Yeah, no, my hat is off to Alex because, I like the Transformers, but my knowledge of Transformers goes back to mostly the movies. The only Transformer, before the big, live action movies, I saw the Transformers movie from the 80s, but I never watched any Transformer cartoons or anything. You know the movie I'm talking about? The
Transformer, the movie.
Yeah, the movie. I've seen that. Yeah. But no cartoons. I don't read any of the books. This is the first Transformers comic I've read. And, hat off, because the guy nailed the tech. He nailed, I'll be honest, being an artist, I like drawing superheroes, I like drawing Conan type stuff and things like that. If I got the opportunity to draw a one-shot with the Transformers, I'd probably do it, just so I could check it off the list. But a miniseries, man, drawing these things from all these different angles and stuff, the robots in disguise, this dude knocked it out of the park. And especially the fact that in the story, what I thought was cool is, like Dennis said, it starts off in 2029. The Terminator has to escape back to the past to basically take out stuff so the Cybertronians aren't taking over in the future. He goes back to 1984, which I thought was so cool because I'm like, because right out of the gate, I'm like, so it's 2029. He's just going to go back 9 years. Who cares? But he goes back to 84, and I was like, it's cool because they introduced Sarah Connor, so that's cool.
And it was the original Sarah Connor, and they made her look very much like Linda. Right. I mean, they did a really nice job of portraying her. So the moment you saw her in her waitress outfit, you went, whoa, before they even said Sarah Connor. Because, we remember the original, where Terminator would walk up in the movie, knock, knock, hello? Sarah Connor? Yes. And shoot her, we're like, whoa, is he going to show up there? Why would he be going after Sarah Connor again? Then this is where it's a complete right 90-degree angle.
But what I liked is because it was 1984, all the Transformers, well, actually, I never asked you, Dennis. You can correct me if I'm wrong. They're all the designs from 1984, aren't they?
It is from, so
they're all the
I watched all the cartoons. I watched the movie. I watched all the Michael Bay movies.
Yeah.
And then I even watched the current Transformer Prime right now, which is phenomenal. So that'll be something at some point. Bumblebee is the VW
bug, and obviously Optimus Prime's the big rig. But I'm talking, aren't all the other ones pretty much on par as well?
Yes.
Now there's one that's actually it's your favorite car. There's one that's the Trans Am, because I saw the Firebird symbol on her. It's a female Transformer.
Yeah, that was a little bit different.
New one, though.
Yeah, that was a little bit different. They've got RC, they've got, then you see Starscream swooping down.
Yeah.
They got the Insecticons. And it's interesting because you don't know why. Why are they both on Earth at this time in 1984? And the Autobots are just about done. It's kind of their last gasp. And the Terminator gets sent back, and then you find out a little bit that, he needs to go back there to wipe out their spawning, basically. Right. So you're assuming, because Teletran 1's there and everything like that they must have crashed on Earth, and this was the start of the Cybertronians taking over the entire planet and wiping out all of Skynet. And his programming is what? Protect Skynet at all costs. That's the only mission parameter that he wants to worry about. It's a really cool concept.
No, it was a really fun book. They kind of we're not going to spoil a lot in terms of the story. It's 4 issues. I think it does end on a bit of a cliffhanger.
It does.
I mean, I like the way it ended, but it definitely has that cliffhanger. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there will probably be a second miniseries. I'm guessing. I have no inside knowledge. That's my educated guess, is that there will be a second one.
Yeah, so it's a 4-issue miniseries. It technically concludes at the end, but they do leave it open with a cliffhanger. The art was really decent. The story was decent and kind of unique. I mean, it really was. If you're a Terminator fan, it's got a lot of the points that you've gotten used to. Got to go back in time. We have to change something in order to save the future for Skynet. It's no different, but all of a sudden, the Transformers being there is the complete change. And then you're trying to understand how the Transformers arrived and what happened to Cybertron. So you've got that other... And they do a good job without coming out and spoiling everything and just blurting it out. You pick up bits and pieces throughout all of it as you keep trying to put everything together. And there's a few twists in it. It's good storytelling. The dialogue. So I enjoyed the dialogue because it was very much, when you're reading it, you can hear, for anybody who watched the cartoons or watched the movies, you can hear all their voices in your head. You can hear Sarah Connor. You can hear all the different Terminators. Starscream. It's just typical, and I would say it's a typical Starscream from the cartoon. Just well done. It was very believable. Enjoyable to the end, I thought.
Yep. In the back of each book, they have a cover gallery of the variant covers. They have sketchbook stuff from the artist showing design work. In each issue, like the first issue shows some design work. The second issue shows how he breaks down a page from the script to the final. Then it goes through layouts, pencils, inks, and colors. So there's a lot of cool stuff in it.
Yeah, and
not just your typical.
At the end, they also had a couple, and each at the back they had, I don't know if they were variant covers, which I think they could have been. It was just artwork, and it was really interesting artwork that they had, and there were a couple of them in each issue. Sometimes they repeated themselves, but I was like, oh, that could have been an alternate cover. But yeah, it was interesting. It was good reading, well worth the bang for the buck.
You got that nice scene of when the Terminator shows up. He, of course, shows up naked, like all Terminators do. And he's got to go get clothes. So that's a pretty fun scene.
Yep.
Kind of reminiscent of the movie. Kind of. Don't want to spoil it for you, but it's a fun scene where he does that. Nice little Terminator trope. And he's not wearing his flesh suit for a long time after he starts fighting the Transformers and stuff, the Decepticons. He gets that burned off pretty quick. So it's cool. It's got some nice visuals in it. Like Dennis, said, the writing's really good. So
I mean, they have to come up with Energon, which of course is all the Transformers. They need Energon to survive, so they need to find the Energon, and that's what it's all about. So, like I said, if you're a Terminator fan, it's a really interesting mix. If you're a Transformer fan, it's got what you like in it. So I think it was an off-the-cuff but well-done meld between two universes, and I think it worked.
Oh, it totally did. I'm going to what was I going to say? It wasn't the score. It wasn't my grading score yet. I was going to say something else about it. But now my brain has fried again. So I don't remember what it was.
So I guess we'll do the score then.
It was something. Yeah, we'll do the. Well, I'll let Dennis go first with his score, then I'll do mine, and hopefully I'll think of the point I was going to make. But so I'm just still looking at it.
Yeah,
it's
the art is good, the story is
nice.
good, the dialogue is good. Was it a totally phenomenal where I have to? No, but all in all, it was a solid read, and I would actually buy the next one. So I would give it an 8.0.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's nice.
I liked it.
All right, so this is what I was going to say. I just remembered. So the pitch for comic books to people that don't read comics, a good pitch is this would make, once again, a great movie. But you'd have to get the studios both signed on and own the properties to say, okay, we'll do it. And you have casting, script, blah, blah, blah. It would take a long time to get done, and it would be super expensive. Whereas in a comic book, Jack Kirby, who's the king of comics, created, Fantastic Four, the visuals for Fantastic Four, Captain America, Silver Surfer, just all these Marvel characters. Passed away in the early 90s, but he was asked once, why do you like drawing comics so much compared to doing movies or something? He goes, because in comics, there's no budget. There's no budget with what he can draw because it's just your imagination.
True.
So with this 4-issue miniseries, it's like a nice tight little, 2.5-hour movie, and the guy that drew it could just go balls wild with what he did because there's no budget. Nobody going, oh, we can't do an explosion like that.
Right.
Oh, we can't show that because it would cost too much. So that's my pitch. If you haven't read comics, but you're like, man, I like the Transformers, I like Terminator, but just on the big screen, I'm going to tell you, you're wrong. You would love this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say this would make a good cartoon if they were going to put it on the screen where it would be cheaper or better. But like I was saying earlier, when you're reading it, since I'm a fan of both universes, you literally could listen to their voices and picture them in your head. Whereas with the cartoon, they would be different actors, actresses. It would still be really cool, but it doesn't have the mind flare that would kick up in their, no D&D reference there, that would kick up unlike, on a cartoon. So I like the comic end of it because I was able to visualize and actually hear them speak in the voices.
Yeah, I get that. The only voice that I can always remember, because he was the one voice that carried over from the cartoon to the live action, was Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude's voice.
He went through all the movies,
I love that guy's voice.
Yeah, he's just perfect. So, what's your score, Andy?
I'll go 7.8. 7.8.
7.8.
I'm not going to go all the way up to 8 because 8's too away from near mint, but 7.8 is damn healthy. So I'm going to go 7.8.
All right.
So
Andy's giving it a 7.8.
Highly recommend. I'm sure it'll be out in trade by the end of the year. So if you want to wait, you can get the trade paperback. That'll have all the extra goodies in it as well.
Well, here's one that we've got a little bit. We've got a little bit of a different take on. We watched it at 2 different times. My wife said, "Hey, kind of want to watch the new Adam Sandler movie," and I'm like, "Oh, what's it called? Hubie Halloween." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I did see it advertised." So her and I watched it, and then Andy, of course, said, "Dude, have you seen Hubie Halloween yet?" And I said, "We just watched it." Well, we're watching it tonight. So Andy, tell us your take on it.
Okay, so it's rare in my house. It's just me, my wife, and our 17-year-old daughter. And it's rare for us to get on the same page with movies. My kid and I are all into the superhero stuff, so we watch those together. My wife has no interest, even though she's seen some. My wife is a Hallmark movie buff. Hallmark movie buff. She loves those movies. In the next week or two, it's going to be the countdown to Christmas, her time of year. So she loves those. But then I like horror movies. Neither one of them's on board for that. So when there's comedies is what we can get on board for. So I was like, guys, there's a new Adam Sandler. It's a Halloween theme, Hubie Halloween. We got to watch it. So we watched it Saturday night, and all of us we were cracking up. And at one point, my wife said, "This is just so stupid, but it's fun." And even my daughter, who's never uttered that, is like, "This is just dumb, but it's so funny." And I mean, it's Adam Sandler doing what Adam Sandler does best. Goofy comedy. There's slapstick in it. You know, Hubie is the typical adult nerd, basically. Still lives with his mom. He's rocking a mustache in it. He's the he's the hall monitor type kid, type guy, and now he's an adult. You know, like I said, Adam Sandler living with his mom in the movie. He's the Halloween monitor, safety patrol guy to make sure everything goes off fine in the town. And I think does it take place in Salem?
I don't know if it said.
It takes place in Massachusetts, though.
Yes, but I don't know if it ever said
So it takes
Salem.
place in that quaint, the picturesque town that you always see in these movies where, and I've never ever seen this in all the places I've lived, where it's this small, 2 stoplight town, not 1, but 2. It's a little bit bigger, and you've got the town square with the clock tower, and you've got the neighborhood where every house is decked out for Halloween, and when it's Halloween night, the street is literally just full. And I've never lived in a neighborhood to see that. I'm sure they exist. So, he rides a bike, he carries a thermos, which he makes reference to as his Swiss Army knife thermos, because this thermos can literally do anything, which is just comedic in itself when you see the stuff it does. Of course, he brought his buddies along, so he's got Kevin James in it. He's got Rob Schneider in it, Maya Rudolph, Tim Meadows, but then you've got Michael Chiklis, dude.
I know. Chiklis. We just talked about him. Love Michael Chiklis.
Shaquille O'Neal, Kenan Thompson,
Ben Stiller,
who I'll let Dennis describe his appearance because it was something. I thought Ben Stiller was great for the 4 minutes he was in.
Right.
I didn't even pick up on something Dennis will talk about. Ray Liotta, Steve Buscemi. I mean, this cast. That's the thing. I watched the trailer for this, and I was just dying. So I'm like, I don't care how. And I told Dennis I was going to watch it, and he's like, it's just dumb. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yep. So it is dumb. Don't get me right. Now the rumor has it that Adam Sandler was, looking towards an Oscar for Uncut Gems.
Right.
And he goes, if he didn't win it, he was going to make one stinker of a movie. And since he didn't win, apparently this was going to be the movie. And I think he almost lived up to the billing. But with that cast that they had right there, I'm looking at this and I'm like, we got to watch it. I mean, no matter what, if it's good or bad, we just got to kind of see it. Julie Bowen's in it. I am a huge fan of Julie Bowen. Yeah. And then when Ray Liotta shows up, you just know, you've already know it. He's just going to be awesome. Bad, but awesome.
Oh, yeah.
In it. And then, with Steve Buscemi, and they got so many good ones. But Andy was talking about was the reference to Ben Stiller. So we were watching it, and then when he turns around, so for those of you had to have seen Happy Gilmore.
Right.
So one of his other productions. In the Happy Gilmore, when he had to put Grandma in the nursing home, and then they had to do their quilting, he was a mean tyrant, and he played this incredibly awesome, small part, but great character in it. No, Grandma. Now, do your fingers hurt? Good. Everybody, we got another 3 hours of quilting, and you can thank Grandma for that. And it was just great. Well, eventually he got fired because Happy went after him. It was awesome. All of a sudden, you see him, and he's in the prison.
Psycho prison. It's a psychiatric hospital.
It is. It's like Arkham Asylum. This is kind of what you're getting the vibe of, right? And all of a sudden, he turns around, and they were talking with the characters, and he turns around. He's got the same mustache, the same look, the same clothes. He's a little more gray, but other than that, the way he starts talking, it's the exact same character. So when he got fired from the nursing home, it's an homage or a reference that he got moved into this psychiatric, and he's doing the same thing over here. It was hilarious. That was just a great little piece to catch up on. So anyway, that was one of my pickups during it.
I did not. I haven't seen Happy Gilmore in so long. I'm actually going to the IMDb page now just to see. Oh wow, Julie Bowen was in Happy Gilmore. I did not even realize that either. Yeah, I mean, Adam Sandler likes to use the same people in his movies. I mean, it's a basic, straightforward thing. You know, somebody escapes from this asylum, and you know they really lead it up like it's going to be some serial killer type thing, and it's not. Steve Buscemi moves in next door as Hubie's neighbor, and he tells Hubie, Adam Sandler's character, he's like, you know, if you hear some weird noises or, you know, just weird sounds coming from the house, you know, don't worry about it. It's all good. It's all normal. And you're just like, so, you know, they're laying the groundwork. So you're just like, oh, crap, what's going on with Steve Buscemi's character? And there's this scene where he's boarding up all the windows and stuff. And this is the thing I love about movies like this is they're so over the top that, you know, the next time you see Steve Buscemi's character when Hubie's going back to his house, he's got like every window boarded up with multiple boards and the front door and even the garage and stuff. And you're like, it's literally been, what, a couple hours? Yep, did all that in a couple hours.
But you hear the awesome noises
and then
from inside.
You hear the noises from the inside and stuff, and you're just like, no, you do. My mind goes to dark turn. Like, is this going to be a comedy that has a serial killer in it? That's pretty weird. And
well, then you got
how much we want to spoil about
Steve Buscemi is, you know, and he's coming up, and all of a sudden he starts doing weird stuff out in the moon. So then you're like, is this going to be supernatural? Is he going to turn into a werewolf?
He's naked too.
Yes.
So, you know, they film it appropriately. But yeah, Steve Buscemi's in the full moon, and Adam Sandler comes across him like in these woods, and he's kind of howling and stuff, and his arms look a little more hairy. And now you're thinking, oh, he's not a serial killer. Are they really going to go werewolf in this movie? So there's these little twists and turns to it. I don't want to ruin it because I really would like it for people to see it and make their own opinion about it. I mean, I don't know. I look at it with all his other movies that he's done, but even specifically for Netflix, because this is part of the Netflix deal that he has.
I think he had to do 4, I think, and I think this is considered the second out of 4 that they needed to do for the contract.
I think it just ranks right up there with all the other ones that he's done for Netflix. I don't really...
Well,
and I've seen all the Netflix ones he's done, and I don't look at them and think like, oh, that one was definitely the best, or, you know.
Yeah, in terms of the Netflix ones, I mean, I kind of rank, you know, the way this was. It had funny parts.
Yeah.
And I loved the over.
Fun.
Yes, and that's just it. It had good parts to it. The overall story really was just a bad. Kevin James played the police officer. He played Sergeant Downey. And when you see him, I mean, you really have to look close because he's got so much hair and mustache and beard and everything like that. But he wound up playing just an interesting, funny kind of policeman. For me, the jokes either hit or completely missed. And Adam Sandler plays, it's kind of like The Waterboy, where he makes his funny voices and stuff. Right. And it was kind of over the top to the point where almost annoying to me. Whereas in, you know, he wasn't in, you know, Waterboy. I mean, it's kind of the same premise as Waterboy, but without all the really thought out, great cut humor. It had its moments, and the thermos, we do need to talk a little about the thermos.
Was just...
They need to offer this at Christmas this year. So this thermos did everything. So you would like drink something out of it, and then just put the thermos bottle.
And we're talking old school looking thermos from, you know, 80s, the big cylindrical metal can that's like at least...
And this was the red and black one, I think.
Yeah, but it's like 10 inches tall, you know, so it's a big thermos.
Yeah.
And like Dennis was saying, he would, in one moment, he would drink out of it, just like a normal thermos. He would just unscrew the top, take a sip, screw the top back on. In the next moment, he's having things thrown at him. So to protect himself, he presses a button on the side of the thermos, and he unscrews the cap first, then he presses a button or something on the side of the thermos, and a full-size umbrella pops out of the top of the thermos.
And you're like, where did that come
from? What? That would never even fit in there. So the things he was doing throughout the movie with this thermos were just, he was just an improv there's a thing where you yes and yes and means that if you're doing a scene with somebody in improv, if I say something to Dennis, he should think in his head, quickly of course, yes and. So if I'm like, well, Dennis, I live in a motorhome down by the river, he could yes and it like, yes and, oh yeah, well I live on a raft on that river tied to your motorhome. And you try to up the stakes each time, and every time you use the thermos, it just got more and more ridiculous.
It was. So the one time he was holding like the handle, and I thought of like the old, if you remember the old boxing gloves where you'd hit it, and all of a sudden it would shoot it straight out, and you would see the extender on the little rack coming out.
Yeah.
It did that exact same thing, but it went like forever. It went like a lot of feet. It was just awesome. And you're like it did that too. It's just so dumb that I really want them to put this out as a gift for Christmas.
It's overall. We'll get to our rating for it. I'll go first. First, I want to say I think I don't know if Sandler's done it. Has he done a Halloween movie before?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I think it was great timing, a good Halloween movie, especially with everything going on. It comes out at Halloween. It's something new for Halloween. I know some channels just do their 31 days of Halloween and they show classics and everything, but I like new stuff, so I like it for that. I'll give it a 7.5. I'm giving it a 7.5. I think you should watch it. I mean, it's only like an hour and 30 minutes or something. It's not like it's super long. I'm trying to see. It's an hour 42, and it has outtakes at the end when the credits are rolling.
Yep.
Did you even you made it through those, huh?
I did. Well, if they're on there, Susie always watches them, so no matter what the movie is, we stay through the end credits and stuff.
So yeah, it had those. So, I think it's worth a watch. If you like Halloween and you want to see something fun with the kids that, it's a Halloween movie, it's not going to scare them, this is great. And it's not like, I don't think, I forgot what's it rated? Does it say?
I didn't say.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm assuming it was
there was
PG-13 because there was nothing.
Was there one F-bomb maybe? Or not even one?
No, I don't remember there being
so.
one.
Yeah, so
it is. It's PG-13.
Yeah, PG-13. So you watch with your kids. There's not even really sexual innuendo in it.
No, it is straightforward. So there were things I like, there were a lot of little cameos.
And Julie Bowen. I mean, come on.
That's the highlight right there. I mean, Colin Quinn was in it. I mean, and, he made his little appearance. Blake Clark, he always makes his appearance. And Dan Patrick. I mean, God, man, it was just like Andy asked if, well, what was it at least as good as Grown Ups? And I was like, no, not there. But it had Dan Patrick in it.
Right.
And it was good to see Dan Patrick. So they had a lot of really good little cameos and stuff in there. Adam Sandler's kids were in there and
his
stuff
wife,
like that. Yeah.
He was like almost in everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it was very much like Ben Stiller's wife. I mean, she was in a bunch of his movies and stuff like that. So they kind of keep it in the family. But, Rob Schneider, and when we got Ray Liotta, I mean, the cast was there. This just felt to me like a mediocre Saturday Night Live extended skit. Not that that's bad, but it was okay. I enjoyed it. There were parts I really enjoyed. It isn't something that I would probably go back and watch again, but I do enjoy all the actors and actresses in it. I would give it a 5.5.
What?
Yep, I think it was worth a watch. I watched it once. I probably wouldn't go back. I would watch Uncut Gems before I would go back to. Seriously, I would watch.
I can't compare the two.
Okay,
come on. Uncut Gems is a total compare a comedy of his.
So Waterboy. I mean, Mr. Deeds. I mean.
Mr. Deeds didn't do it to me.
Oh, loved Mr. Deeds.
Did you?
Yeah. Little Nicky, Billy Madison. I liked all of them better. But really, Waterboy and Happy Gilmore are my two favorites. I kind of feel like this is in the area of Pixels. I mean, that's kind of what I wasn't overly thrilled with Pixels. Not a surprise.
Man, I like Pixel. I thought Pixels was better than this. Here's a little known fact about the movie. I know you know it, Dennis, because we talked about it. But so in the movie, there's a scene with a news anchor And then the news anchor throws it over to the weather girl, and the weather girl throws it over to a news anchor that's on the scene, on a street somewhere. So 3 news anchors, 3 female news anchors. Well, the main news anchor sitting behind the desk, they're all the joke is that they're all dressed up as Harley Quinn for Halloween at the news station.
Right.
So the main news anchor behind the desk is a pretty woman dressed up as Harley Quinn. She throws it to the weather girl. Oh, you're dressed up as Harley Quinn. They toss it to the news girl on the street, who's played by Adam Sandler's wife. Oh, you're dressed up as Harley Quinn. Well, apparently the news anchor behind the desk is a real news anchor, and Boston news anchor Elena Pinto has been fired by station WHDH for appearing in Adam Sandler's Netflix movie, Hubie Halloween. She said, "Earlier this week I was let go from 7 News." She tweeted, "I'm posting this because I want to be open and honest with all of you. Last year, I participated in a cameo in a recent released Netflix movie by Adam Sandler, Hubie Halloween. The appearance was a violation of her contract, and she said that she mistakenly violated. She said, I'm deeply disappointed and saddened, and I hope this would not be how things evolved." So I don't know, man. That's harsh, I think, because it's like, I had a radio show 10 years ago with a couple friends. There are definitely things in contracts that, it's like morality clauses. You can't do certain stuff, if it's going to reflect badly on the station.
Right, and I understood that. And when that news story broke, I had to figure out which one it was, and then I found out who it was. And I was like, it would be different if this was a porno movie or something, or something that was just blatant. I mean, this was, even though, like I said, it was all right, it's still a kids-based movie, and it was good. So I didn't see anybody who would have been negatively affected in their real career, particularly as a reporter, a news anchor, a journalist, any of those that were out there. I thought it was fine. I think it may have technically, depending on what the wording of the clause was.
That's just it. You don't know. It could literally be something like you can't appear as a news anchor for anything.
Right.
Anything.
Right.
Which I get, because, obviously she can't be like, well, what? I'm in California. She was in Boston. Doesn't matter. You can't go to California and be like, I want to sit in for a day. But on a movie?
But
and she wasn't degrading the station or the work.
Well, that would have been my point, is it isn't that she said she was from that station or anything like that. She was dressed up. You couldn't tell it was her. I mean,
I had no idea.
She looked like a good Harley Quinn.
I just assumed it was an extra, just like the weather girl. Well, I assumed it was an actress that read for the role, which I'm actually assuming she probably read for the role anyhow.
Yeah.
And she got it because this film was probably shot somewhere around Boston. She's right there. They probably put out a casting notice for female news anchor.
Yep.
And then put some visuals down on the casting notice, like, this tall, this type of hair, blah, blah, blah. And she probably came in with other people to read for it, and she just happened to get it and be a news anchor.
Right.
Hey, Dennis, Deadline, I just found this news article. I don't think you know this, so, It was a show. It was a show on Netflix that we just watched, finished a few weeks ago, that we reviewed. That this is exclusive. In fact, let me see today's date to make sure. Oh, this dropped yesterday. That is not going to be picked up for a second season. Away, Hilary Swank. Away.
Oh no way!
I just read that as I was reading. I saw a link on the news article about the reporter being fired. Dude, we like that movie. That was a good show.
Seriously?
It just made it to Mars. And I was like, this first season, just to recap, it's basically the first manned mission to Mars. It's Hilary Swank. She has, I believe, 4. Yeah, it's a crew of 5. Going to Mars. And it's like a 6-month mission or whatever, and they've got problems, and they, look,
and in
spoiler alert, they finally make it there.
Right. And in one of our earlier reviews, we talked about it, and it was a slow pace, but they had really good character development, and you finally knew what they were all about when they landed. It kind of felt like at the end there, it was like in Space Force where, the Chinese flew and clipped the satellite. That's just kind of the feeling you got. Anyway, it was just, I was to the point where, all right, we know where we're going. Let's move forward. Let's see what they do, because now I'm excited. They've made it. Let's see what happens. And of course, they're not going nowhere.
Now we're not going to see what happens.
Well, you guys suck.
It even said that it spent several weeks in the top 10 Nielsen streaming viewership rankings, peaking at number 2 for its first full week release. You just gotta... It's weird because, you think to yourself, is it a COVID thing? Which you would think, if it is a season 2, they would start writing it now. They wouldn't even start shooting it till next year. Is it a cost? Because it did have a good cast. I mean, Hilary Swank's not cheap.
And the special effects were good.
The special effects were really good, movie quality.
Yep.
But I mean, we talked about it on a previous show where Glow, season 4, which was the final season anyhow.
Right. Why don't they just do it?
They canceled it because of how hard it would be to film because of COVID, because it's wrestling and all the close contact and stuff. And it was supposed to be the final season anyhow. Good Lord.
Yeah, just finish it. Wait an extra... Wait till November 5th and start filming it.
That's right.
Just be done with it.
That's right. Oh, well.
That's sad news.
That's the way the cookie crumbles. We hope you enjoyed this episode. As usual, you can find us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio.
Yep, and of course your Alexa devices.
Oh, he said it. Is it going to go off?
No, because I renamed mine in here, right. So it's different.
Oh, that's right. Dennis's Alexa... He probably wouldn't want me to say this, but the name of his Alexa is, you guys say it kind of quiet so it doesn't go off, my bitch. He says, my bitch, turn up the lights.
And then it says, yes, Andy, what do you need?
Oh!
But no, all you have to do is say, Alexa, play the Dennis and Andy Show podcast, and it'll automatically find the latest one and play it for you. So you can be out mowing the lawn, you can be out doing whatever you need, and in the house, it'll play it for you.
That's right. And, of course, find us on Facebook, Dennis and Andy Show. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Until next week, grab your 3D glasses.
Get your favorite comic books, roll them up, and put them in your back pocket the way you should treat comics.
Throw your pigskin up on the mantle. This is Dennis.
This is Andy. Later, friends.